Okay, good morning, class. Now, what we are actually going to do today is we are going to talk about global marketing and advertising, right? So, to start with global marketing and advertising, what we first need to know about, because advertising doing in some other countries, so you need to know about the rules, what rules are and what are the regulations of that country. So we start with advertising rules and regulations. So what are advertising regulations? It's talking about the laws and rules, right? Which defines the way in which a product can be advertised in a particular region. Each region has their own regulations. And the purpose, what is the purpose of the regulatory bodies? To ensure that the advertisers as well as the advertisement, they are truthful, they are fair to customers and to the competitors, right? Which should be which should be have some accepted standards of some public decency. There should be some decency. It should not it should not be used indiscriminately for the promotion of products which are hazardous or harmful to society or to individuals, like particularly minor, right? It should be to a should not be to a that it is unacceptable to society at a wider scale. It should not happen. So, the advertising regulatory bodies around the world. What are the advertising regulatory bodies that we have? So these are the things: ACI, that's the Advertising Standards Council of India, Federal Trade Commission for United States, Advertising Standards Authority, uh, Advertising Standards Authority, that is ASA for UK, Advertising Standards Authority, ASA for South Africa. Okay, so some of the guidelines for Bhutan, right? Since we are here in Bhutan, so what are the guidelines? Advertisements shall not be allowed to mislead or deceive consumers. Should not do it. It should not be allowed to cause serious or widespread offense to any individual or group of people. It should, certain advertisements like promotion of alcohol, tobacco, drugs, and other intoxicating materials shall not be allowed. No commercial advertising posters will be allowed to be placed or in front of any spiritual or spiritual places or places of which has some uh, heritage significance. All foreign advertisements shall be translated or dubbed in the national language, either in national language or English. Any political advertisement should follow the election advertising regulation of the Kingdom of Bhutan. So you have to follow this. Okay. Advertisements on health, medicine, food products should be subjected to the approval of the Narcotic Drugs, Psychotic Substances and the Substance Abuse Act 2005, Medicines Act 2003, the Draft Consumer Protection Bill, and any other relevant rules and regulations. The breastfeeding policy of Bhutan encourages exclusively breastfeeding for the first 3 months of a baby life. Public health authorities should promote the use of natural homemade food products for infants and children, discourage milk formulas and processed food for children. There should not be any advertisements on food substitutes for children under 5 years of age, right? So one has to be very careful when you're advertising. So it varies. This may not be the same thing everywhere, but it varies from country to country. So global marketing and advertising. When we talk of global marketing and advertising, we need to take into consideration the nature of international marketing, the benefits of international marketing, factors to be considered while designing international marketing. So these are cultural, legal, psychological, and the marketing process in international market. So these are some of the questions for discussion and which you can actually think about and with respect to different economies. Now, next we come across is international marketing. What is international marketing? When we say international marketing, it refers to, you're using the same marketing principles, but in more than one nation. So it involves making one or more marketing mix decisions across national borders. Like What the marketing mix decision for one economy may not be valid for another. So you have to make multiple marketing mix decisions. And it involves establishing production facilities across nations overseas, coordinating with marketing strategies across the world. So, in other words, what we say, it involves business activities that helps in the flow of an organization's goods and services to consumers and or users in more than one nation. Why? For making profit. Okay, so these are the different definitions that we have for international marketing given by different experts, right? So international marketing, if we can actually say, it's the performance of business activities which is related to planning, price, promotion, and direction, and which directs the flow of a company's goods and services to consumers or users in more than one nation for the purpose of earning profit. Right? What is the difference between domestic marketing and international marketing? Uh, Domestic marketing is within a nation, so you can have one particular marketing mix strategy. Whereas when we talk of international marketing, we're talking about marketing activities that's taking place in more than one country. Right? The marketing objective remains the same. Objective remains the same. What is that? To earn profits by selling products and services, right? And that could be like within the country or outside the country, which sort of products which have a demand. So some of the related terms that we have in this unit is global marketing. Global marketing is it's concerned with integrated or standardized marketing actions across a number of geographical markets, where the whole it treats the entire world as a single market and comes up with some standardization of marketing actions, standardization of products, standardization. You create benchmarks. The example is McDonald's. What is foreign marketing? It's the domestic operations within a foreign country. That is, marketing methods used outside the home market. Domestic operations within a foreign. You're operating, you're actually setting it up in a different country, right? You're operating. So domestic marketing is it's concerned with the marketing practices within the researchers or marketers' home country, right? That's what domestic market is within the country. Foreign marketing is where it's the domestic operations within a foreign country. So you set up the business and do it. And global marketing is where you have your business in your domestic country, in your own country, and sell it outside. So we just had we just discussed what is international marketing and the features we're going to actually discuss, right? What are the features of international marketing? Marketing activities are undertaken across borders, and it's done to mainly to encourage exchange between firm and the customers of local or foreign countries. Aims at satisfying needs of international or global customers. Uh, when the international marketing decisions are taken, that is with respect to global business environment, involves two or more nations, and the marketing mix is tailor-made with the needs of a particular nation. You have to make changes as per the needs of the nation. It's more complex and so difficult. Role of international trade agencies they play a very critical role in marketing products in other countries. It offers attractive opportunities along with both challenges and threats, and the all other characteristics of modern marketing are also applicable for international marketing. So, why is there a need for international marketing strategies, right? International marketing, when we talk of international marketing, like if you start comparing it, international marketing has its own challenges, right? Has its own challenges, and which the marketers when they go for international marketing, they are not generally unaware of the foreign environment. And so they need to do a greater research on the market where they want to actually go for venturing. So what could be the challenges with regard to the competition, legal aspects, government aspects, consumer behavior, ecological factors? So these are the things has to be taken into consideration. But controlling all these above factors for creating a favorable market is impossible. You cannot do that, right? Because most of them are beyond control. So what marketers have to do is they need to focus more on what they can control instead of things which are beyond their control, beyond their purview. So when we talk of international marketing, the managers, right, international marketing managers, they adapt to the prevailing situations, prevailing conditions that is there in that foreign market, so that their operations can be smoothened with results which are predictable. Okay. Now what happens up here is, so for the international arena marketers, right, they have to alter in their elements of marketing mix. There are price, product promotion, distribution. It has to change. They have to make changes in the way they do it. And research has also, keeping in mind that there are certain factors in the marketplace which is uncontrollable. That's competition, politics, laws, consumer behavior, technology. Keeping that in mind, how would they make changes in their marketing mix, which would be able to tackle this challenge and would be able to also help in achieving the marketing objectives of that company in that foreign economy, right? Gain customers and earn profit. Example, very good example is that of McDonald's. When McDonald's came to India, right? Initially, when they came to India, they came and they had to move out of India because they were serving beef burger, which is quite offensive. It hurts the sentiments of the Indian society. So when they came back, they had not done a proper research. When they came back, returned, they did an extensive research. Then came up with things where they come up with menus which were tailor-made to the Indian market. They were not serving beef or pork recipes. They were having beef vegetarian burgers, pure vegetarian burgers were there, right? And food which was there, which was catering to the using Indian spices to match the local taste. And today, McDonald's is running successfully. See, these are the foods that we have here in India. Okay, the other thing is also we have Kellogg's. Kellogg's example is also quite famous. Like where Kellogg's is, which is a very famous organization, very famous company. When it comes to cereals, when they came to India and they introduced their proprietary original recipe, which failed, right? Why? Because what happens? The Kellogg's India did not actually look into the competitors, who their competitors are, what the Indian consumers would want. They used to have homemade wheat-based breakfast recipes. So Kellogg's learned from their mistakes and they came up, customized their product and came up with a move from their original recipe to wheat flakes, rice flakes, and it's doing well. No gear. So it's actually like the rural consumers, Indian consumers are really happy with it. Why? It's dew resistant, dust resistant phone, anti-slip grip, inbuilt flash drive. Same thing with Hindustan Lever, where they introduced shampoo sachets with the worth rupee 1, which is for price sensitive Indian consumers, and it's running successfully. So, can you think of any marketing design plan that was designed for Bhutan? That's for you all to come up, you think, and let me know in class. Okay, so benefits of international marketing. What is the benefit? Uh, it ensures, guarantees survival of a company and a country. So nations actually get benefits from division of work, specialization. You have specialized workers coming in, right? Division of work happens, helps in balancing unequal distribution of natural resources. You can use resources from different parts of the world, right? Product life cycle can be extended when you start selling products in other nations. Within a nation, its market size is limited. After a certain time, people may not want to buy that product, so the demand goes down. So the product goes to the last stage of life cycle, that is phasing out. So if you start selling it outside the country, different other countries, so what happens? The product life cycle, it's extended, like it doesn't phase out, right? So it's important for controlling inflation. Inflation can be controlled, and the price moderation can happen. Balance demand and supply can be there. There can be a balance of between demand and supply, so there won't be disequilibrium when you're actually targeting different markets. Uh, Invention and innovation can be promoted, right? When you actually start selling your products outside your country, what happens? There are challenges coming up. You have to cater to different markets. You have to uh, adapt to the needs of the people there. So you come up with innovation of your existing product, or you start inventing something new. And companies can take benefits of taxes and duties, like you have the tax benefits, duty benefits are there. So okay. Technological transmission can take place. Technology you can have access to better technology, helps in improving the standard of living of people, because when you are operating in different countries, so people in those countries can actually also work, job is created, standard of living increases, as well as people in your home country, they are now operating, they are working, they are producing mass scale, so income increases, more people needed, so standard of living increases. It results in social and cultural development, like trade helps in, so interaction between people across different nations, so helps in social and cultural development. Also, we get to know more about others. World peace is also possible when market trading happens, so interdependency comes up. Employment opportunities, global employment opportunities, you can go and actually work for your company in where it's operating in some other nation where it has its own business, right? And also growth of overseas market leads to global prosperity. Prosperity comes up, it increases. Okay, so factors to be considered while designing marketing plan in a foreign or global market. What are the factors? What are the factors that you need to take into consideration? Cultural, legal, psychological. This is the internet, which talks of the international marketing environment. Let's go into details of this. Now, when we talk of cultural environment, what is culture? Culture is a set of traditional beliefs and values that are transmitted and shared in a given society, right? It's a way of life and thinking pattern. So, culture, when we say it, language, taste, values, habits, age, demographics, everything comes into play. So, if you go a little more in the details, when we talk of language, language is what? It's very close to someone's life. It's also your identity. So language is given a very close attention, right? When advertising happens, it has more appeal when the advertising takes place in the local language, right? So say in like when Coca-Cola was introduced, like in China, was first time so it had the meaning that came up is bite the wax tadpole, female horse stuffed with wax, depending on which Chinese dialect it was translated to. So these are some of the things that we have. We have General Motors, and we have when we had talk of Gerber when they were using their baby food. So they use the common dialects, the language of the country where they were operating. We have similar examples with HSBC had done the same thing. KFC also had done similar things. Pampers. So these are some of the examples of well-known companies which had adapted to the local situation, right? So Initially they would make mistake and then they would come up with rectified. So attention must be given to non-verbal language. Non-verbal language is more powerful than verbal language, right? There are worldwide there are 6,000 spoken language, uh, but non-verbal language is talking about sitting position, listening, cooperation, like a straight or a cross confrontation, eye contact, right? Eye contact in America it's polite. In Japan it's considered as rude. Like dressing up in Nepal, you should put a cap. Bhutan, take out of your you should not be wearing a cap. Like take out cap. Wave of hand with palm up. That's fine in America, but rude in Japan. So one has to know all these things while it is making an ad for that mission. Food and taste and food habits. Different economies different have their own food habits. So I gave the example of McDonald's. Like McDonald's initially they had to leave because they were actually talking about and they came up with beef and pork beef burgers they were introduced and then they had to go off, right? So then they came up with the vegetarian and other regional choices, right? Same thing with Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, Wendy's. Like they now actually start catering food with keeping in mind the the food habits, the taste of people in the Asian market. Influence of culture, right? Influence of culture. Now this is also there. For the Hindus, they do not consume beef. Some Buddhists do not even eat eggs. So Jains do not eat onions, right? So have to be careful what you're serving. For your homework, uh, provide some information on food habits in Bhutan, right? Next comes up is the influence of culture on eating habits. These are different people how they have. For Chinese, they eat the fish stomachs and bird nest soup, and for Japanese, they eat uncooked seafood. For Iraqis, they have dried salted locust. French eat snails. American, European, they eat honey and blue cheese. Jews, they don't eat pork or shellfish. No mixing of milk and meat. Muslims, no pork, only halal, no alcohol and smoking. Bhutanese eat their cheese, which is rotten or fermented. Like different countries have their own food habits. Next comes up is regional values. Now, many a times what happens when you choose a country, select a country where you want to sell a product, they have extreme regional differences that must be taken into account when marketing. Within the country, regional differences are there. So one has to think you cannot just sell a product as it is. You may have to, within that country, you may have to make varieties of the same product catering to different regions of that country. Okay, now influence of culture on thinking. Thinking also, like well, see, Americans and Europeans they treat dogs as family member. Arabs they treat dogs as filthy animal. Some people eat and cook dogs. They will cook. They will eat. They will cook. They will cook and they will eat also, right? And for Hindus, cow is treated as a god. Consumer habits, culture, and personality. They also shape consumer behavior in every part of the world, right? So you will see that in very different countries, you when you travel, first thing to remember is whether it's an individualistic society, that is free thinking society, or a collective society where the peer group has the most influence on buying decisions, right? uh, there could be other societal and psychological factors also which influence the buying decision that needs to be considered. So if we think of the habits of a Bhutanese consumer, what happens? Price and quality is assumed to be at par. High price means a good quality, right? So and the reverse. Follow trends, not into individualism. What is a trend? Prefer brands. Influence of Korean and Thai influence is there. Spicy food they like. There's no particular season to buy clothes. People are buying clothes at any point of the year. Age and demographics. Now, age and demographics also play a vital role, right? In the international marketing, it's nothing different in the domestic marketing also. Even in domestic marketing, age and demographics matters. Like the taste and preference of people over 60 will be different from that of youngsters, right? And so that has to be taken into consideration, right? Uh, so that needs to be taken into consideration while thinking of how to make your marketing decisions. Now, these are the statistics that we have for Bhutan regarding the total population density, and where Bhutan ranks in total population. So it's up there for you. This is the age structure of Bhutan. Next comes up is why did we show you about Bhutan? Because that also tells you like when the marketing decisions are made, how the companies make their decisions. Next comes up is economic factors, and the first factor that we talk about is per capita income. Per capita income, any country's wealth, that's a huge factor, right? While determining the target market countries and how to market product in these countries, when we choose which market to go in, we have to think of it, the economic factor, the per capita income, whether people are able to buy, how many people are able to buy, right? And depending on that, you start marketing, right? If a country has a per capita income of less than $800 a year, it's not a very good market. It's not going to be a good market to sell your equipments, sell your products, say washers and dryers, which is $1,000, right? How would they manage it? So this is when we talk of Bhutan, look into Bhutan's GDP, right? So from GDP from different sectors, that's up here for your information. Okay. So next comes up is relevant class structure. While marketing your product, right, or service internationally, one has to take into consideration the class structure, because this again varies. Class structure means upper, middle, and lower class. That varies from country to country, right? And the number of people in each of these classes also varies from country to country. So if you are actually selling a product to a country where your product is quite costly, and the country where you're selling is not so developed, so the people who are there in the upper class is less, so that may not be a right decision to do, go and market your product in that country, that economy. Supply and demand, yes, it does play a major role anywhere, right? One has to look into the potential markets. Because to actually to know about to see whether what can be sold in that market, right? If you have to choose the right place, right way, and right place, right? So that's important. See the example. This is where how marketing happens. These are some of the examples of products which are marketed in different countries. These are some of the related cases that we have, relevant cases of how marketing has been done in different countries. How did they manage? What sort of things they had to take into consideration? Okay. Next comes up is financial and transaction banking. Financial and transaction banking. Now, sometimes what happens is you have to look into the consideration how you will get paid for the products and services that you market, right? That's important. How will you get paid? So it's some the more developed nations, so it's taken for granted that you can buy goods internationally and pay for them through credit cards, debit cards, online process, cash transfer business. But that is not the case everywhere. So you have to actually look into this when you actually sell your products, because you cannot personally go and sell it. You're selling it online, you're selling it internationally, it's going, and the payment has to be done through online payments, your credit cards using. So uh, Is it really applicable? Is it in that nation? Is it really possible? Next comes up is legal and political and legal factors that we are talking about, right? So laws, first thing talks laws of the nations that really affect our ability to do business. Either it helps us to decide whether we can do it, or sometimes it also prevents us. Good example is in Thailand, which has some specific law stating that no foreign person or company can own more than 49% of a business in Thailand. So you have to take a Thai partner when you do the business here. Even in Bhutan, you have it. You cannot set up your business all by yourself. You need to have a partner, right? So you must be aware of the laws of that country. Licensing and permits when we talk of. So there is a chance that the only way you can do business in a foreign country is to give out an expensive permit or license to another business in that country who would manufacture and sell your product for you. Okay, it's usually the government who does these things in a way to ensure that a large percentage of the income from sales stays in the home country. Example is Pepsi's license to Heineken to bottle and sell Pepsi products in Netherlands, right? Find out Bhutan's rank of ease of doing business index. Okay, so this is where we talk of the World Bank's ease of doing business. According to that, we see that it compares the business regulations for domestic firms in 190 economies, and Bhutan is placed 81st position. Right? It has gone down from 73 in 2018, right? So when you have a high ranking on ease of doing business, that means what? The regulatory environment in that nation is helpful for starting business and operation of a local firm, right? And that's what it is. Now, in Bhutan, it was considered the best place to do business. But what has happened now is this year, what happens? India tops the regional ranking at 77th place, up from 100. Bhutan comes second in the region, with Sri Lanka 100, ranking 100, Nepal 110, Pakistan 136, and Maldives 139. So these are the things which you have. Like the lowest ranking in the region is Afghanistan and Bangladesh. So this is where we talk of the rankings on doing business topics in Bhutan, like how it's been ranked with regards to different aspects, right? So you can have a clear picture about it. Next comes up is taxes. Tax, yes, it's a way where government can cash on foreign businesses which are operating and selling products in their country. So what happens? So that there's citizen spending does not allow much money to leave the country. If tax is paid, right, then what happens? Citizens would also think if the price goes up, the price when you're selling your product to a different another country, there is a tax also imposed there. So the price goes up, price of the product. So citizens would actually think about it whether to buy it or not, right? So taxes can do impact firms' ability to make profit by selling goods and services in a foreign country, right? And that also helps in shaping the international marketing strategy, right? High tax rates on goods sold can make it hard for a business to stay there in that country. Say it happens in the US, right? So it becomes difficult when you have to pay a huge tax when you go and sell products in the US. Fees, right? Fees, when you market your products or sell in a foreign country, you may have to pay certain fees for the right to do so. It could be one time or recurring. It could be also sometimes quite high in some cases, right? Especially when you're taking into consideration luxury items. When you do business, you have to pay a fee to officially get permission to do so. Tariffs. Next comes up is tariffs. Tariffs, it's actually used to balance trade between countries and also to protect the national companies from losing business to foreign competitors, right? Uh, why tax? It prevents the foreign companies to actually come and do business. So what happens? Domestic firms can actually flourish. Okay. Next comes up is currency risk. There's always risk, when doing a business in the currency of a foreign country. Why? What is the problem that comes up? It's because of the fluctuation in the exchange rate. There is an economic depression in the country, or recession happening, then if you do the rate goes down and you end up losing money. So it's always best to actually do business in the stable currencies, which is much more beneficial. Now, stable currencies, when we say, these are US dollars, pound, and euro. Okay. What are the other political and risk and restrictions that we have? It could be with investment restrictions that is there. Some countries impose strict requirements like who can own the business and do other business related investment in the country. Yeah, so the marketing department of should be aware of this. Operational restrictions, right? How much operational control can you have over your business when you do the overseas business? That also has to be taken into consideration, because some of the restrictions that we've discussed right now, uh, because of that, there will be a chance that you may have to have an international management team. You cannot just manage, your team cannot manage you. You need to have someone else also managing it, part of it, so which may hamper your business, operational business. Discriminatory restrictions. The discriminatory practices that happens in a foreign country, that can also prevent marketing of your goods and services, right? Say for instance, it's quite, everyone knows this, in the Middle East, women are not allowed to wear makeup. So if you have a business which is cosmetics, so this would be a very big factor, like how can you market it where women are not allowed to do so? Quotas. Next comes up quotas. Quota is quantitative restriction, right? Quantitative, how much of the product that you can sell in another country, like the restriction. It's not price. When price restriction, that's tariff. Quantitative restriction is quota. So it's again imposed by the foreign nations. Why? To protect their own domestic businesses. Stability. Next comes up is stability. Now, stability, when we say stability of a nation, that has to be taken into consideration when you market your product, right? Stability comes up, it could be an unstable situation, could be if there is war, and then your business is going to get affected because it'll have an impact on your business, right? Or if there is a political unrest, then it's not wise to do a business there. See, Egypt, right? Libya, it's not wise to do that. Environmental. Next comes up is environmental. Now, environmental factors also play a very big role. They can have both positive as well as negative effect, right? So suppose if you're manufacturing a product that does not go well when constantly subjected to, say, that there's a if there is the temperature rises, then it's problem. Then what happens? Your product does not like, you can have problems with your product. It is not compatible with high heat, then it is very sensitive because it's going to affect the environment. So heat sensitive, so then it's going to be difficult, especially if you have marketing these products in the Middle East. So it needs to be very careful. Or your product is something which is, when you're manufacturing product which creates some harmful byproducts, that's really important, that whether you should actually be doing this or not, right? And sometimes your products can get affected, your entire products can get affected because of natural disasters. Your business can just collapse because of earthquakes and all. So your business comes to a halt in that situation and you cannot do business because the entire economy is devastated because of these natural calamities. Regional partnerships. Now, when we talk of regional partnerships, so what happens? Sometimes companies, they know that it's very difficult to do a business when they do it by themselves in a foreign market. So they would be actually one in that case, they would choose to partner with other companies that are based out in that country. So who in based out of the country, but whose market they are trying to get into, right? Take the help of another company, and then do a regional partnership. So McDonald's, like they had when they came to India, they did it with partners that knew the local businesses, customs, and all. So that happened. So your competitor in that Indian market, and you just partnered. They partnered with it, and then they started doing it. Product adaptation, right? So product adaptation is, as I said, like you cannot have if you follow the concept one size fits all, then it will not work in a international market, right? It can work for countries like US where everything is the same, but it will not work for Indian market or Middle East. So you need to tailor make your products to meet the needs of that economy. Okay, next comes up is global marketing and international marketing. What is global marketing? Where the entire world is considered, as we discussed earlier, as a one marketplace for the company. There's no hardly any difference in products available globally, since the products are exactly the same. Whereas when we talk of international marketing, it's country specific. And you have to make marketing strategies designed to meet the local needs. Global is universal, international marketing is tailor made, country specific. Apple products, for example, that's global marketing. Uniform phones throughout. Whereas McDonald's, it's international marketing looking into the needs of that particular economy. So, steps involving in the marketing, international marketing process, right? What are the various steps to deciding to internationalize? Market selection, product selection, selection of entry mode, selection of marketing strategy, selection of marketing organization. So let's go into details of this. Deciding to internationalize, right? So you have to look into the present and future international and domestic opportunities, the economies of scale. Product should be unique, technology unique, unique information. There should be excess capacity. Domestic market should be saturated. That's why you're looking to going for internationalize. What are the tax incentives that's there, and closeness to our customers? How close are you with the customers? Which means doing a proper research, market research. Then comes up market selection, so selecting the most appropriate market. So what you need to consider: the geographical factors. Product can reach fast, quick, and effectively, less production cost, so resulting in less price. Market potential of the country, that is income, population, economic growth, political stability, legal factors. Market access, the good there has to be good trade relation between countries. Market characteristics, market having similar cultural factors, trade practices, customs, so it becomes easier. Then comes up is the product selection that we talk of. So we have to think of elasticity of supply. There should be you should be able to easily increase or decrease supply, and the product should be unique, so where there is less or no competitors. And a company should not go for exporting of products which are heavily dependent on imported inputs, because anytime it can stop, and also price can go up huge when you're importing the raw materials. So it's wise not to do it. Demand for the product. So demand is likely to increase or remain stable. Depends on the country's imports, competition, substitute availability of substitute goods, and the policies. Okay. Next comes up is selection of entry mode. Now, these are the different types of selection entry modes that we have: export, licensing, contract manufacturing, joint venture, and direct investment. Exporting, what is exporting? It's basically when you manufacture the goods in your own country and sell directly to a foreign country. Okay. And for this, you need to have a excellent companies which can do an excellent job of marketing in when they do go for foreign exports. They should go for it. So examples are Fanta, Honda, H&M. That's a retail giant. Okay. Next comes up is licensing. Licensing is where you are giving a permission to a foreign company to manufacture your products and sale using giving them the permission or the license. So that license, you're giving permission or license to a firm in that country to do it. So you are the licensor because you're giving permission, and that firm in the foreign nation, foreign country is licensee. So they would be manufacturing the business on your behalf, right? So actually you're giving, allowing some other country to use your patents, trademarks, copyrights, designs, and other intellectual aspects. What you get in return, a percentage of revenue or a fee, right? That's a very fast way to generate income and grow business because there's no manufacturing or sales involved, like someone else is doing it for you, right? Why do you do that? Because you take advantage of that company's infrastructure. They have it, right? Okay. Next comes up is contract manufacturing, whereby an international marketing company enters into contract with a local company outside in abroad to manufacture its products and undertake marketing responsibility on its own, right? So they would enter just to manufacture the contract and do the marketing of the marketing of the product on their own. So it's not that, say, suppose, for instance, if I explain this, you have a business, you want to enter some other market, you don't want to sell your products, you go there, you're actually taking up the responsibility of manufacturing their products, and you also take the responsibility of marketing the products. Okay. So what basically can be done? It can take three different possible forms. The goods are destined for the domestic market, right? So what happens is to it helps in reducing costs, outsourcing, right? Uh, Goods can be destined for another foreign market, so which means what you can actually capture new markets with a lower price or a high price competition by outsourcing. You can outsource. You can go for outsourcing of it, right? You can if you are actually say, doing it the business there, so the cost goes on, cost of transferring goes. If you want to outsource your business, that is also possible, someone else is doing the business for you. And third case is where the goods are destined for the same foreign market in which they have been produced, right? So produced there and selling, so that also helps. Contract manufacturing, you are, in other words, you're hiring a foreign company to do a business for, to help in setting up the business for you and doing the marketing for you, right? You don't do it yourself. Joint venture companies refers it is talking of where we have two or more businesses which join together for doing a particular business for mutual benefit, right? Yeah, example is Sony Ericsson. In Bhutan we have joint venture. We have a foreign company coming up, doing business in collaboration with the local partner and setting up, and the profits are all divided. See Drupian region, see Tajdashi, see Limeridian, right? So Amma. So these are some of the examples of joint venture in Bhutan, right? Next comes up is where we talk of strategic alliance, right? Strategic alliance, in that where we have a assembly as well as mergers and acquisition comes up in this, where you come you are, when we talk of strategic alliance, like where you are combining together for some specific purposes, that you have the finance but you may not have the good human resources, so you align, you take the help of another company, right, to for which has the best resources, and you work together. Assembly is where you are basically like helping in assembling of the different parts. You don't do the business yourself, but you're doing it help with someone's business, but you're helping in assembly, right? Mergers is when two businesses actually merge together to become a holding company. It becomes easier. Acquisition is, in other words, takeover. Some companies not doing well in a foreign nation, so you enter the market by taking over. Now, all these strategies that we discuss here have its own advantages and disadvantages, right? Uh, Depending on the kinds, it depends on the kinds of environment that we are talking about, and it requires different investment. And so there is always their own sets of risk and rewards. So, what are the factors that needs to be taken into consideration to determine the entry strategies when we are talking about these factors, the different types of entries that we discussed? What are the factors that we need to take into consideration? Expected sales, cost of operation, accesses, profitability, and risk factors. So, and also when we decide the best entry into foreign market, we these are the factors that comes into play: number of markets that is covered, level of penetration within markets, degree of feedback available, control, possibility of sales volume over a period of time, right? So selection of marketing strategies. What would be the best selection criteria for choosing a marketing strategy? You can actually think from the point of view of Bhutan and tell, right? I'm just telling you the general thing. So when we talk of international marketing process, there are 5 steps of the international marketing process, right? First comes up is where you analyze the international marketing opportunities. International marketing opportunities needs to be analyzed. You need to identify, right? You need to identify which are the markets where the needs are unfulfilled, where or underfulfilled, right? So a proper market research needs to be done to actually look into that factor, to see like how can you actually fulfill the needs of the customers. So this can be done through thorough information is required. Thorough information is required. So through information, you need to have information market, and that is what, so you need to do a thorough market research, which could be with the help of primary or secondary data, right? And accordingly then check out. So once that has been done, then you see in that particular market, it's who are the groups of potential international customers? Who are the potential customers, right? You need to see, for this you need to identify the buyers, their demand. You have to go for forecasting. You need to do market segmentation, market targeting, and market positioning. You already studied all these things. So that involves segmentation when we are identify groups of customers, potential customers from the entire market strategy, entire market, which has similarity in their behavior, right? And that actually, so the segments must be relevant for the marketeer. It should be relevant that where you can, it should be that that products and services that you're developing that should match with the target group, right? And this also helps in deciding what are the key benefits in the product or service that can be given to the selected market target customers, and how to make a how to make it different from the competitors, right? Okay, so next comes up is to choose or adopt appropriate business and marketing strategies. That's the next thing that comes up, right? So you need to choose the proper strategies. So there, uh, what has to be done, what would be the appropriate business strategies that you have to choose, and for this you have to, there are many activities that has to be taken in the firm by many people. It's not one person's job, and a lot of departments are actually involved to manufacture and deliver the final products and customer services to its customers. They have to align with each other, there has to be coordination, right? And at the same time to ensure that the best value is given to the buyer, and also which would result in better profits, more profits, right? So that has to be there, right? So the three best strategies that is actually being used is cost leadership, differentiation, or focus, right? These are the three things. So when we talk of cost difference, cost leadership, where you're the price, the cost of your product, price of your product is quite low, is reasonable, where competitors find it difficult to compete with it when they end. And that's possible when you're the first person to enter that market, your niche market. You set up your business. Initially the cost goes high, but with more and more customers, the cost of production goes down, lead economies of scale, and so the price of the product goes down. So it becomes difficult for your competitor to enter that market because they cannot charge such a low price. Differentiation is where your products are different, unique from the others, right? How different it is. Price is not the factor, but differentiation, how unique. And focus is much more narrow when you actually start targeting a very narrow group, a targeted group of customers. You know what their wants, what their prior budget is, and you can do it. There can be like this is one way of classification. There can be other ways which where they said that where the successful firms have adopted strategies which align with their market position. That is, based whether they are market leader, challenger, follower, or niche, right? So it depends. So each firm uses their own policies, right? Okay. The fourth step that comes up is where you develop the international marketing mix. That is, price, place, product, price, place, and promotion, which is there, but you have it's with regards to from international marketing scenario. Now when we talk of marketing mix, so we do take into consideration these four areas and develop a well organized, well coordinated marketing strategy. Now, to when we actually think of doing a business across nations, and we have to take the external factors, the external business environment of that nation, and according the target market, do a proper research, and then to have a clear picture of that target market, right? Where you want to sell your brands and products. So this all these four factors: product, price, place, and promotion. So it has to be well coordinated with each other, right? Okay, so what happens up here is when you're developing a good marketing product program and we feel that, oh, this will bring us success, but it's not good enough for success. There's something else also. A firm needs to manage the international marketing effort properly. You just designing it is not enough. You need to manage it, right? And we find quite often markets failing, not because they do not have a good marketing program, but because they have failed to properly implement their plans, right? So firms also need to do proper analysis, planning, and implementation, and control of their marketing plan. So just designing is not enough. How do you implement? How to control? So we say, oh, marketing plan has failed. It's not that. Marketing plan is good, but you failed to actually come up with you fail to manage it, you fail to implement it properly, you fail to have proper control mechanisms. That's why it fails. Okay, so that's all that we have in this chapter. If there's any other questions that you have, just let me know in the class next week.